Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Thursday, the 24th of August, 2021. This is groundbreaking for Bitcoin. I did a show on my other channel, Financial Turmoil Explained, and I explained very carefully the reasons why I believe that if we do not have a deflationary event between now, that means a crash, in other words, a crash in the markets. If we don't have that between now and January 31st of next year, then we're not going to get it. And so if we do get it, they will have fixed it probably by January 21st. But in fixing it, they'll have to create tremendous amounts of liquidity. So my prediction is that by January 31st of 2022, Bitcoin's finally going to come into its own. And what's going to make Bitcoin come into its own is inflation. Inflation is going to tear away at the purchasing power of all of the fiat currencies when we pass January 31st of next year. And my intermediate price target for the end of 2022 for Bitcoin, December, unless something weird happens, is about $250,000 a coin by the end of 2022. And my long-term price for Bitcoin, moving into 2023, by the end of 2023, we're going to be looking at a Bitcoin price that can't be set in dollars. Yeah, you heard me right. It will not be priced in dollars by the end of 2023. Because I'll tell you what's going to happen, guys. It's going to be a reset. They're going to have to do a reset. This is going to be a fast-moving hyperinflation, not slow. I can see that now. And what that basically means is the dollar is on its way to zero. And it's going to happen rather quickly once confidence is lost in the purchasing power of the fiat currencies. It doesn't matter. They're trying to cut back right now, the Fed. They're talking about tapering and everything else. It doesn't matter. Let them. It's only going to bring the hyperinflation faster. It's going to speed up a process that could have lasted quite a considerably long period of time if they try to tighten. The reason why is got to do with leverage and credit. We've moved into a period in time right now where the system has gone beyond reason. Back in a lot of it stems back to 2008 when the system was too over leveraged at that point for them to allow a collapse. And so instead of having a collapse, what they did was they leveraged the system up much higher. And you know, we've been under this period of what I would call forced debt creation for quite a number of years, from 2008 until now. And now we're in the 2020s. It tells you how long they've been going on with this over leveraging. There's not a possible way in this world that they can stop leveraging the system. So all this talk about tightening will only yield a crash of unimaginable proportions. And that crash cannot be they cannot let it go to its final conclusion, because the entire world economic system would completely shut down and stop in a deflation. All the money, what the crash would do, guys, is all the money in the world would disappear. All the money that's in their system, the money on your credit cards, the money, you see, the way their system operates is it's a ledger. And all they do is move the numbers around that ledger. What you call money is just numbers on an enormous ledger. Not unlike Bitcoin. And they just keep track of where the digits are going within that ledger. So if your bank account, for instance, if you got $1,000 in there, what they do is, and you want to spend $100, they just change the number to 900. They're just changing numbers. That money doesn't exist in the real world, and that money is a creation of credit and debt. And so if the system deleverages now, all of the money would disappear, all of it, except for the money that's in the form of cash and the money that's in the form of change, like your pocket change, the coinage. That money's real, but all the rest of it would just disappear, and the system would lock up. So if you're thinking about, if in a situation like that, trying to hold some cash or change, and you think it's going to be worth a lot more, the problem with that is the system would freeze, and all transactions would freeze. The world would go into complete and utter chaos, and the people in power would lose power. Quite literally lose power. Go turn the lights on, this wouldn't work. That's what would happen if they let the system entirely deleverage. So they cannot possibly let that happen, no matter how much they have to print. So if they try funny business, and I'm going to call it funny business, or call it silly beggars. In England, they'd call it playing silly beggars. If they want to play silly beggars, and they want to try to taper or tighten too much, they're going to get a crash. The window of opportunity for that crash isn't until January 31st, because if we don't have a crash by January 31st, then the system is going to, the inflation that we see is going to become so entrenched in the system and have so much forward momentum at that period in time that the inflation will carry the inflation, even if they tighten, because there's already been enough money created to create a hyperinflation. It's already done. So we'll know by the end of January is going to be pivotal. But if they do create a crash, the amount of money that they're going to have to put in is going to even bring that inflation on even quicker. So either way, it doesn't really matter, guys. We're looking at, by January 31st, this whole game that's being played now, which is like a game with the Fed. It's like we're playing a game with the Fed, like this whole thing about, you remember the game they used to have where Simon says stop, Simon says go, green light, red light. You remember that old game? That's the game the Fed's playing with us right now. The green light is when it's risk on, and then risk off, risk on, risk off. That's the game the Fed. That game ends around January 31st. It's going to come to an end. And from that period forward, that's when we're going to see Bitcoin start to make its biggest gains it's ever made since its inception till now. And that's why I'm putting a price target of $250,000 by the end of 2022. And by the end of 2023, the dollar is going to be gone. The reset will have happened. We'll have some new form of currency. Maybe it'll be called the dollar. It's very likely it'll be called the dollar, but it won't be the old dollar. And so Bitcoin might be priced in new dollars by the end of, and gosh knows, those new dollars will probably have good purchasing power once again. And gosh knows how much Bitcoin will be priced in the new dollars by the end of 2023. But let's just put it this way. It's probably going to be quite a high number. So, the train's leaving the station, guys. You might get a cheaper price on Bitcoin if you wait, because if we do have a deflationary crash, Bitcoin will find a bottom, and you might be able to get them cheaper. But regardless, the train is leaving the station. And it leaves the station, I would say, approximately January 31st of next year. The train leaves the station. So if you've got zero in your wallet for Bitcoin, The train's going to leave the station on January 31st next year. So you got your opportunity between now and January to eke out yourself a little bit of get in there, right? Because I'm going to tell you guys what, I think the massive money, the bulk of all this liquidity, which represents your work, represents your labor, represents your house, your land, your cars, is all going to transfer. This is a wealth transfer. It's going to transfer out of the fiat currencies and into a new system of currencies. And in this new system of currencies, you're going to see a lot of them are going to be the digital currencies. And so you got to move with the times. And if you stick with the old way it used to be, where you had your money in the bank, stick with that, because that's what's worked for you for, I don't know, 50 years, maybe 40 years. You're going to get slaughtered in a hyperinflation, and you're going to lose most all of your savings if you just sit on your hands. So you got your opportunity. And I've done shows here, and I've showed you guys that with Bitcoin, you're not going to need very much to have a successful retirement, because there's only 21 million that has to be shared through the entire world. Bitcoin is on its way to becoming a standard for savings. That's where money is going to be parked. Big money. And I think big money is going to be parked in gold too. And I think that Bitcoin and gold are going to be transferable between each other. In other words, in fact, it's already that way. Observe it. You can buy gold with Bitcoin, and you can buy Bitcoin with gold. You can do that right now. I think that's going to become more the standard moving in the next 10 years or so, where Bitcoin and gold are what determine the new financial monetary system as a base or a core. Well, you know, at its core, gold has been there all along. An $11 trillion gold industry out there in the world. You know, gold is money. I think Bitcoin's on its way to becoming money too, and it's going to be a way to facilitate the movement of gold around the world. That's what Bitcoin's going to do. I think that when you have somebody and they've got 100 bars of gold or something, I'm talking in the future now. I think what they're going to do is they're going to take what represents that 100 bars of gold in Bitcoin and transfer that instead of transferring the actual physical gold. I think that's where we're going. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe. We'll catch you guys in the very next episode. Bye-bye.